Welcome back. This is K24's Evening Edition. Now on set is Richard To, who is a lecturer at the University of Catholic University of East Africa. And of course, he's also part of the organizing team, which will be holding a side event to address the same summits that will be addressed in the now controversial International Conference on Population Development. Let's get right into it. Richard, what is the understanding by the religious groups on ICPD, and why are you so opposed to it?
Yeah, ICPD is coming to propose what they call the 3 zeros. 0 maternal mortality, 0 gender-based violence, and 0 unmet need of family planning. Very good statements. But these solutions they are offering are detrimental to life and family. They are offering this controversial term, sexual and reproductive health and rights, which over the years, at least over the last 25 years, has been redefined to include all sorts of things that the faith leaders have been against.
What are these sort of things you mentioned?
Abortion, sexualization of children, LGBTQ issues, redefining the family, and all those things that have been defined as immoral by the faith leaders are now being pushed to become rights. So the faith leaders are really concerned, and what gave away ICPD 25 was that anyone who is known to have been holding a position opposed to UNFPA and ICPD was denied access to ICPD.
So are you saying there were attempts by religious groups and other people opposed to register and join the conference?
Oh, yes. Actually, the reason we chose to do this side event was because as soon as the platform was put up by ICPD 25, many of us globally tried to register. But weeks went by, months went by, and we are not receiving approvals, yet other people were receiving approvals. So we began asking why, what is going on? And no one was responding accurately to that question.
At the same time, ICPD has been organized, of course, by the United Nations, but has partnered with Kenya and Denmark. Kenya is part of it. Are you saying the Kenyan government was not aware of the agenda of this meeting?
The Kenyan government is walking a similar path to the Danish government. We just had a population census released recently, and you are aware that our population is falling drastically. Actually, the total fertility rate of Kenya as at 2016 is at 3.5. We are moving very fast, close to 2.1, and below that it is below replacement. Denmark is below replacement. Many European countries have a total fertility rate below replacement. Total fertility rate is calculated by the total number of women of childbearing age divided by the number of children born in a country that year. And once you get anything below 2, you cannot reverse the population decline. So Kenya is celebrated as a country doing well in controlling its population. So it was meant to be offered as a case study, as a best practice. That might explain. But plus, European countries have put in a lot of money into these things, so probably our government wanted some money part of it. I mean,
so why would we have change of heart, so to speak? Because we had the statement from President Uhuru Kenyatta, who remains opposed, as well as the remarks of his deputy, who said Kenya will not welcome such unacceptable practices.
We must thank our president for standing his ground, and we affirm his position. I think the fact is that the leadership that we have, both at the political level and the technocratic level, is facing some sort of a challenge. When technocrats go to develop policy, chances are they will be pulling out World Health Organization documents, UNFPA documents, African Union documents to prepare the policy advisories. Now, these policy advisories, by virtue of the work UNFPA is doing, are usually influenced against life and family, because there's money in attacking life, there's money in destroying the family. So what happened this time around is that when they come down, those of us who were keen on how the conferences influence our policy, we alerted the leaders and we indicated, look here, good people, if we walk this path, it is dangerous to our country.
All right, and of course, it is reported that it's supposed to be a 12-point sort of commitment, especially from the organizers of ICPD. And what was expected then from this outcome? Some sort of endorsement from the government, and thereafter what would happen?
Well, ICPD is soliciting commitments from governments that henceforth, moving forward, put more money in this agenda. And I'm calling it an agenda because out of those 12 commitments, the concept sexual rights and reproductive health, sexual and reproductive health and rights is repeated over half of those 12. So there's something about sexual and reproductive health and rights that our people ought to be alert to. So these commitments are fatal to our people, and it is the reason why all faith leaders have pulled together, scholars have pulled together to caution the public.
All right. Yeah. And of course, there has been a proposal, especially from the Court of Appeal, that was talking for the lowering of the sexual age consent. What is your take on that matter?
Oh my God. There is money in the sex industry. There is money in sexualization of children. And the starting point, for example, we used to have this advert of Omo, that is good, isn't it? So I have to say that is good so that mommy might buy Omo. So now sex is good for as young as 5, 6, 7, 8.
So why are we having doublespeak from various institutions within the government, some proposing and some not?
It's because some are feeling the truth and their conscience is pricking them. Should we be giving this to our children? Should we? And parents are concerned. So those who are the gatekeepers to our society are conflicted. You cannot be pushing for sexualization of children, and yet you are a church goer, you are a mosque goer, and you're listening to the word of God, and you're being influenced. You cannot give away your children to sexualization.
And of course, in the interest of time, 1 out of 6 teenage girls are either pregnant or their mothers. It is a ticking time bomb. It's now known they're mostly sexually active. What eventually will be done to solve this, even as we oppose certain introductions to the country?
1 out of 6 means 5 out of 10 are not pregnant. 5 out of 10 are not sexually active. Let's find out what is going right with the 5 out of 6, and then we treat the 1 out of 6 as delinquents and try to win them over progressively.
Very well,
Rehabilitation is the word.
All right, then, and of course, as we wrap up, I cannot go without asking you our question on Have You Say, where we asked, should women be allowed to procure abortions in cases of unwanted pregnancy?
Unwanted? There is no unwanted pregnancy.
Say unplanned pregnancy, if you may.
There is no unplanned pregnancy. The sexual union is always having the potential to give a baby. So once you get involved in sexual relations, you ought to know that there will be a baby, most likely. We just need to protect these women who get into crisis pregnancy and make sure they carry the babies to term. And then if they don't want to keep these babies, we give them up to adoption. Now, the side event we are holding, we have Pearls and Treasures, Protecting Life Movement Trust, we have Human Life International, all these organizations providing crisis pregnancy services. They exist, but we don't advertise that because the promoters and purveyors of abortion and baby killing are not interested in this.
Very well. Thank you so much, Richard. Of course, it's a really dicey topic. We could go on and on, but of course, we thank you for creating time. And remember, this is as a result of what has now been termed a very controversial international conference that will be starting from tomorrow all the way to Thursday, but they will also be holding a side event, that is the religious groups, as well as activists and educationists. And of course, we'll be certain to stay on the beat of that story now. Education Cabinet Secretary George Magoha and Principal Secretary Belio Kipsang today dismissed reports that some students and teachers had been taken to the hospital after they were affected by the chemical used during chemistry paper 3 practical exams. The government was responding to claims made by bodies such as Teachers Union CUPET that students suffered negative side effects from use of a chemical known as xylene. Victor Olo with that report.
The Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers has now raised a red flag over a chemical that was used by students during their chemistry practical exams last week Friday. Addressing the media today, CUPET officials led by Secretary General Akilo Misori said that exposure to the chemical known as xylene that was used by the students resulted in varied negative side effects.
It is well established that this is a very hazardous chemical. One, it is liquid. In its liquid vapor, it is also inflammable.
Kuppet said that the students were required to heat the chemical and observe the flame produced, yet they were not provided with protective gear, thus exposing them and the supervisors to the very dangers that befell them.
Why did the Examination Council choose on this dangerous chemical to be used in an exam? Was this the only area to test?
And the teachers are having headache, they are coughing, some are dizzy, some are in the hospital.
According to Kuppet, 2 teachers assigned to Tidai Girls High School in Kwanza and St. Monica High School in Kitale in Trans Nzoia County are said to be in hospital after being exposed to xylene. In the second incident, Kuppet said an expectant supervisor was admitted at Galilee Medical Center for further medical examination.
The curriculum and the syllabus is so broad, such that when an examination council wants to test something, you don't zero down on a specific dangerous substance for use.
But amidst all this, the Education Ministry has termed the allegations as baseless, saying they have not received any single formal complaint from alleged affected person.
It is a story, nobody else. We have not had any formal complaint. I can say that one.
The Education PS has also questioned the authenticity of the allegations, bearing in mind the total number of students sitting the exams.
And we have 699,000 candidates. We have 10,200 centers.